saying thanks for coming out to the panel here at Comic-Con. Hope you guys are having a good time. And thank you. Thank you for buying the comics. Thanks for watching the Walking Dead TV show. I think my wife bought some groceries earlier today. That was because of you guys. So I just want to let you know that. And I really mean it. Like, I really appreciate the relationship that we have where I make up stupid stuff and you guys give me money for it. It's really awesome. So thank you very much, and thanks for coming to the panel. So here's what we're going to do. The slide would usually prompt me into talking about the things that are being shown on the slides. I do not currently have those slides, and I do absolutely no preparation whatsoever for these. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open this up to Q&A, and we may end up doing just straight Q&A for the entire panel, unless the slideshow thing gets fixed. But the slideshow thing will probably get fixed, so don't worry. But if we could, we have a microphone. Sorry, I don't mean to be too loud. We have a microphone right here if you guys want to start lining up and asking some questions. So yeah, let's do this. Go on. Okay, you're the first question, so make it good.
All right. Will there ever be a Battle Pope and the Walking Dead crossover?
Probably never. Okay, so Walking Dead is very serious. You guys read Walking Dead, right? I'm just pandering now. So you guys like AMC, don't you? Yeah. Anybody from Colorado? Sweet. It's a very serious book, and it just wouldn't fit. Here's a funny anecdote I'll give you. Marvel really wanted me to do the Marvel Zombies Army of Darkness crossover, and I thought it was a bad idea because I thought it lessened the Marvel Zombies brand to tie in with Army of Darkness at the time. I apologize to you that were like, ooh. That came out like a few years ago. I'm not talking about like a new thing. I would never go back to Marvel and work for them. So they really wanted me to do it to the point where I actually got a phone call from Dan Buckley, who is the king of Marvel Comics, and he called me up and he said, so we really want you to do this. We're really invested in this. We really want you to write this miniseries. If you want to do this miniseries, we could, make it worth your while. We'd be willing to do like a Walking Dead Marvel Zombies crossover, if you wanted to do something like that. And I just said, so you have never read The Walking Dead, you have no idea what it's about. Like, could you imagine Rick Grimes fighting a zombie Spider-Man? That would be the absolute worst thing that's ever happened in comics. And so I said no. But, all right, is your question answered?
Yes.
Let's move it along, buddy. We got
Hi, I actually admire your work a lot. And my question is, what exactly inspired you to do Walking Dead?
I've answered this a lot in interviews, so I apologize if this is repetitious, but let me get my notes out. It was basically just being a fan of zombie films and the zombie genre in general, but also recognizing that the endings of most zombie films are somewhat lame. So, when you're watching Day of the Dead or whatever, it's like, oh, I'm really invested in these characters, this is totally awesome, I can't wait to see where this goes, I can't wait to see what happens next, and they get in a helicopter and they're gone, and you're like, well, where do they go? Like, what do they do? How do they continue to survive in this world? That seemed really interesting to me, and I couldn't really find that anywhere, and so I decided to do that as a comic book, and now we have The Walking Dead.
Thank you.
Cool.
Hello, Mr. Kirkman.
How are you?
Wow, I just lost it.
It's okay. Take your time. No pressure.
I just want to...
There's only like 4 million people in here, right? That's what I'm saying.
And I have my question all in my hand, and then I get up here and just go blank. But anyway, I want to just thank you for your writing. You have got me in the comics. I know you hear that like millions of times, but once I started reading The Walking Dead, it just opened up like my mind to comics, and I've started reading like maybe 10 or 12 stories. But anyway, what's up with Carl, man?
Well, first of all, I have no idea what you're talking about because not everyone is up to speed on things, and so we don't know where people are.
Yeah.
I I don't know what you're talking about. But I will say that, The Walking Dead is The Walking Dead. Bad things have been happening to the characters since the very first story arc, and it's going to continue to get worse, I guess I should say. So, hey, if you're reading The Walking Dead and you don't want characters to die, you're like, go read a Marvel comic.
It's not that.
Although they kill characters with the Walking.
It's not that I don't want them to die, but it's cool. I like it because it's a twist, and I like it, but I'm just
I have problems. I'm a very disturbed individual. I get it all out in The Walking Dead so that I don't murder people.
Cool. Thanks.
And thanks a lot about the getting into comics thing. Like it's always great to hear. So we're glad to have you. Or Portal, awesome. I haven't finished the second game yet. I've been trying. I've got this TV show that's been taking up time. But look, it's no Marvel Galaxy, but I'm having a good time with it.
Marvel Galaxy, actually.
You should. It's really good. It's probably the best Mario games. Like the first two, that's awesome. And a lot of people criticize the second one because they didn't improve the technology or anything. They just made new levels and were like, this is the second game. But their first game was so good, I lost everyone.
Anyway, I'm a
I
huge
didn't like the addition of Yoshi. I thought it was unnecessary. It's still cool. There's this one level where you have to eat these peppers and then go on these tracks, and he moves too fast. It's very difficult. Whatever.
This is awesome. We're talking about video games with Robert Kirkman.
It's great. You should come over to my house. That's all I do.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of the Walking Dead universe, and the first season was really good, but it was only 6 episodes, and we didn't see a whole lot of deviances from the comics, which is great. But do you plan on using the TV show to explore new avenues that you didn't get to explore in the comics?
Somewhat. I mean, there's definitely certain aspects of the Shane character that there's not anything where I had ideas while I was doing the comic book that I didn't get to, where I'm like, oh, I can finally do that one thing with Shane that I wanted to do. I'm not that organized. So, but it's you kind of fall in love with the characters, when you're writing a series, and there's a lot of characters that have died in The Walking Dead, which we've discussed, and I do miss them. It's kind of weird. They're imaginary, and I created them, so it's kind of arrogant to like them. What's that all about? But it's nice to get back to work on the TV show and get the right characters like Shane and other characters that have died. I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, I mean, it's neat to get back in there and work with those guys.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
Hi, Mr. Kirkman.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing all right. Go to Matt. Oh, man.
I want to thank you for Walking Dead because you
Oh, you're
got my
welcome.
wife in the comics and showed that there can be a lot of depth to comics and everything.
Oh, good.
But my question is about Invincible.
Oh, should we come out on time more often?
Do you have any ideas about maybe an animated series for Invincible? Do you have any big plans for it?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not quite to the level where I can just go animated series and it happens. But I mean, it's definitely something that I'm open to. We've always been in talks with people, and sometimes the ball gets pretty far down the court. If I could do a sports metaphor, I've been hanging out with Tom McFarlane a lot. I like sports, but it just hasn't happened yet. It's always in the cards. And the thing is, I don't want to announce anything that's I hate it when people announce oh, this is going to be a movie, maybe someday in 40 years. It's why did you announce that? Then people are just going to be waiting for it. So I try not to let any kind of thing slip out until it's definite. So when you finally do hear that there may be an Invincible cartoon or an Invincible movie or an Invincible lunchbox or something, it's actually going to happen. So, maybe someday.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Let me get nobody else line up, and then you guys, I'll get through this line of questions, and then we'll do the slideshow real quick. Nice shirt.
Thanks.
It's a Walking Dead shirt.
It's good afternoon. I remember last year hearing that some of the other producers on set were saying that there would be some changes from the comic into the series.
Sure.
And I was just wondering if there would ever be an episode where it's extremely different from the comic, you did not see it at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be differences, and I'm sure as the show goes, there'll probably be. You want to know if there's like a complete episode that's just nothing from the comic book at all?
Yeah.
I mean, there will always be like different aspects of various characters that come from the comic book series, so there'll be like little tidbits and stuff mixed in. But yeah, I mean, I like how the show kind of diverges off the comic book path, just because I think that one of the core aspects of The Walking Dead is that you never know what's going to happen, and anything could happen at any time, and I like to maintain that for the show, even for people that enjoy the comic book series. And so yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there will eventually be an episode like that, just because the series seems to be fairly successful, and hopefully it'll run for like 400 years or something. I don't know how TV works, so.
Hey, Robert, I originally wanted to ask about Invincible comics and movies and what have you. Answered that. What was your?
Well, then sit down.
I find the Invincible Omni-Man relationship extremely powerful. I just like to hear your comments of where your inspiration was for all that.
Not a very deep person, so it's very hard for me to answer these kind of questions. No, yeah, I don't know. Like, a lot of it comes from my relationship with my father, even though my father's not evil and didn't try to kill me. Like, so some of the better aspects of it, like, I'm very friendly with my father, so like a lot of the friendly nature between Nolan and Mark kind of comes from my relationship with my dad. And, I guess moving forward in the series, some of it will come from my relationship with my son, so that's kind of a cool evolution to like have a child of your own during the life of this series, so that there's a different thing informing you and should help me do different stories and stuff. But I'm just making stuff up. I mean, that's what writing is. So you know, a lot of that stuff is just this would be neat.
Thank you.
Cool.
Hi, I host a web series called Survived, and we have a segment on our show that we call Weapon of the Week. And so we were wondering, our viewers wanted to know what your zombie killing weapon of choice would be.
Yeah, I don't like answering these questions just because I know I'm not trying to criticize anything, and that's a fantastic costume. But I don't want to sound like I think I would be in any way effective with that weapon. Like, you know, it's like, oh, well, I would pick a chainsaw because they're really cool, and I could carry a chainsaw even though it weighs like 30 pounds. I can't lift 30 pounds. So, yeah, weapon of choice, someone else to fight for me. But preferably someone with 2 chainsaws.
I was wondering why everyone on the team is so easy to kill.
Because, I hadn't thought about that. Wow. Well, it's not like everyone's dying on the team. What do we got here? We have Rex.
Shrinking Ray.
Who else? Oh, Shrinking Ray. Well, that was when they were the Guardians of the Globe. So the team was just Robot, Duplicate.
Why are a lot of your characters easy to kill?
Let me finish. Robot, Duplicate, Adam Eve, and Rex Explode. Only one of them have died. That's 25%. So your question's invalid.
Sorry.
I mean, I can't go around killing Invincible. That would be ridiculous. So, killing the lead character of your comic book series is like the worst thing ever.
Hi.
What's up, Green Lantern?
What's up?
I enjoyed your movie immensely.
Me too.
Although my son went with me, and I was like, oh, this would be cool to see this Green Lantern movie. And he's 5. So we sit down, and the movie starts, and it's the parallax scene at the beginning on the planet where these like creepy looking aliens come into a hole and then get like torn apart and they're screaming and it's really loud. And I was like, did we go to a horror movie? Like, he's in my lap and I'm like covering his ears and stuff. And after that, it was good though.
So I love all of your comics, hoping you can bring Wolfman back maybe sometime.
I would like to do that sometime. I didn't put that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off my applause. Anyway, let's keep going. I didn't put that Dracula scene at the end of the last issue just for fun. Like I would like to eventually get back to that story. So I think a series called, like a mini-series, like The Astounding Wolfman versus Dracula. Like that'd be kind of funny, right? So
Yeah.
We'll see.
And so I was wondering, so I'm not sure what they're allowed to show on like AMC or whatever, but for The Walking Dead, are you going to be able to put like the governor storyline or the cannibal storyline in there or anything like that?
Well, I can't really talk about specifics just because I wouldn't want to spoil anything, but I can say that everyone involved in the show is very aware of how important the Governor storyline is to the life of a Walking Dead series and how invested the fan base is to those stories. But unfortunately, we're not doing anything with it, so it's really sad.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, what's up?
I have two things. One, has there been any part of the filming process of television that's like inspired you to go, I need to put something similar to what, like they're doing something on the side that makes you go,
Yeah, actually there is. That's actually a really good segue into the slideshow.
you know, you think I'm the last
Yeah,
guy.
we'll get into it. Yeah, I'll get into that in a little bit. Like a little bit of the writing process has kind of crept into, things that I want to do in comics. So, but I can discuss that there. Would you like to ask another question since I'm kind of capping you off?
I did have another question, or more of a comment. I have a buddy named Shane in Kentucky, and I'm supposed to, if I see you, tell you that one
The character was based on him.
I was supposed to ask you for your autograph and then tell you if you didn't quite appreciate what happened to Shane from Kentucky.
Oh, well, I mean,
So-
sorry about your luck, but like, whatever. Can you have it with you? I'll sign it real quick in front of all these people so they can be like, what? That's not fair.
I got a book. That work?
Yeah. Whatever. So actually, I have this new book that we're doing at Skybound called Thief of Thieves that you may have heard a little bit about. It's a, I don't know, it's like a caper comic. They do stuff, people steal stuff. I need to get back to the Q&A as quickly as possible because I'm not really good at this part. But talking about the writing process, and I've been working in the writer's room this season. Hold on a second. There you go. But it's been a lot of fun to work in the Walking Dead writer's room, and writing for television is different in that when I write for comics, I just kind of go, oh, it'd be really cool if we cut Rick's hand off, and then we do it. And then like 4 issues later, I write scenes where Rick's like using a can opener, and I'm like, ooh, I should have thought this through. I have to rethink all of this now. And I won't go into more, but oh god, that's a mess. But anyway, and in television, you go, oh, I'd really like to cut Rick's hand off. That would be cool. And then you spend like a total of 49 hours over the course of 3 days talking about the ramifications of that and different stories that would bring and all kinds of really cool stuff. And so on the Thief of Thieves series, I've created the book and I brought in Nick Spencer, who's been working with me, and I've plotted a course for the series, and then we kind of go back and forth talking about what's going on, and we're going to be bringing in other writers as we move forward. Nick's going to be writing the first story arc, and then I don't really know, I can't really say anything else, but we're going to have different writers for every story arc, but we're all going to be working together as a group plotting the whole series out. So it's going to be really cool. And Sean Martinborough is the artist on that. I think we've been flipping through the covers for issues 1, 2, and 3. And that'll be debuting in February of 2012. So I'm really excited about that. And then I've got The Infinite, my new book by Rob Liefeld. If you would like to cruise on down to booth 2729 in the main convention hall, I do have a limited edition hardcover of the very first issue that I can show you right here. It's very nice. Does anybody want this? Anybody? I'm very sorry. I was talking to these 4 people right here. Go ahead. The rest of you, I'm not. Whatever. But that was a bad idea. Did we bring the 400 that I told you to bring? Anyway, it debuts August 3rd. It's a cool science fiction, time travel, action adventure romp that's going to have all kinds of cool like character drama and emotional stuff like The Walking Dead, but we're going to have all kinds of pouches and knee pads and big swords and giant guns and look, I'll be honest with you, I have gotten to a point in comics where I just do what I want. And so there's things like Super Dinosaur where I'm like, oh, yeah, robot, I love robot arms. Like, let's do this dinosaur book. And I absolutely love this stuff. Like, this is like my favorite aspect of comics, just doing, crazy action stuff and telling cool stories and kind of throwing caution to the wind. And, it's like, oh, this guy could never carry a gun that big. Who cares? So I'm really excited about this series, and it's going to be shipping monthly. Rob is really kicking ASS on this book. I don't know if there's kids in the audience, so that joke didn't play at all. I should have just said ass. But anyway, so yeah, it's going to start monthly, August 3rd, The Infinite. It's going to be cool. That's the cover to issue 3. And then coming up in 2012, which might actually be, thank you. I'm just going to keep mowing over all applause. Coming out in 2012, we've got a new Invincible, which is actually probably going to start in December because I'm not very good at planning. So it'll come in late 2011 maybe. I don't know. We're figuring it out. But there are changes afoot. I think you can see some weird confrontation there. I don't know why Invincible is punching Oliver. That's really strange. And if we go to the next slide, it certainly seems like Invincible is like with Dinosaurus, who we know is a villain, and then there's like another guy in the Invincible costume. Like I really don't know what's going on here. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on in this book. I don't know, but it'll be really cool, and we'll have answers coming soon. And then I also wanted to say that. We're all aware that Invincible is somewhat behind schedule. The Viltrumite War ended up being just a massive undertaking that we didn't. When you're doing a monthly book, you can't really go, well, this issue is going to be monumental and it's going to take 5 weeks to draw, and then this one's going to take 6 weeks to draw, and then this one's oversized, so it's going to take 12 weeks to draw. And Ryan came to me and was like, I can't draw this stuff. Like, you can either rewrite this and make it less cool, or the book is just going to go behind schedule. And I said, the Viltrumite War is something we've been building towards since the very first issue. And I hate doing this stuff because I hate being behind schedule. But I said, we really are going to be looking back at this storyline in like 5-10 years, and it's going to have so much ramifications for the series now. Like, I don't want to cut any corners. And so I just told him, throw caution to the wind, just put everything you can into the pages, and we'll pick things up afterwards and try and fix the schedule. And that's what we've been doing for the last few months. And by the end of the year, we will be back to having Invincible on a monthly schedule. Like, I don't want you guys to start thinking that Invincible will never be back on a monthly schedule, but we're going to be putting out a ton of issues between now and the end of the year, and we should be caught up to solicitations very soon. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. Stop. Oh, and in order to do that, we've got Corey Walker coming in to do issues 85 and 86, which are actually going to be a pretty cool epilogue to the Viltrumite War. So we're going to see a lot of stuff coming from that storyline. So. Woo! And then we got Super Dinosaur. So, and we took a couple of months off solicitation. I know some people noticed that, and we're like, what's going on with Super Dinosaur? Coming out in November, we're going to have a trade paperback that will collect issues 1 through 5 and the Free Comic Book Day issue, and that will ship at the same time as issue 6. And I gotta say, I didn't really expect the book to be that big of a success, just because all ages material sometimes struggles in this market, just because the readership is somewhat old. I'm not saying you guys are old, but anyway, and the book has been an overwhelming, it's done way better than I ever thought it would. So we're really having a great time doing it, and it's everything that Jason Howard and I absolutely love doing. We both have young kids now, and so we're always talking about ridiculous things that we can do in this book, and different robot suits that they can wear, and all kinds of cool stuff. So it's been just a lot of fun doing the book, and I will say there's a lot of cool drama and twists and turns coming up in upcoming issues. So if you guys think it's strictly just kiddie fare, there's some depth to the story that we're going to be getting into pretty soon. But it's really mostly just dinosaurs shooting missiles, which I think is kind of cool. If I could spoil something, I'm going to spoil something. I will say that in issue 5 here we've got Derek Dynamo in his own robot suit, and Super Dinosaur in a bigger version of his harness that's like a big robot suit, and they're fighting like a 5-story tall velociraptor. And at a certain point in that issue, those two robot suits connect together to form a bigger robot. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then there's going to be a Super Dinosaur Walking Dead crossover. So then we got this is a new thing that I'm doing. It's a series of original hardcover graphic novels that are going to be in the French format. So it'll be like big French albums that are I don't know, it's like Electra Lives Again, you know, that kind of stuff. They'll run about 56 pages. Charlie Adler and I are creating a whole slew of new concepts for this series. Each one will be a self-contained original story. So this one is called The Passenger, and it's a science fiction story. And the next one could be a Western, or it could be a romance, or it could be a story about ducks in a bathtub. I have no idea. So it'll be a new thing every time, and we're going to be putting one of these out like every 1.5 to 2 years. So we're really excited about that. And this one should be out around, I'm going to say March. I'm going to say March. Maybe April. We're still figuring that out. And then we got The Walking Dead. This is an upcoming cover. Andrea, still upset over Dale. What can you do? So yeah, make sure we go to the next slide. And then this is our new storyline in The Walking Dead, which is called A Larger World, which will be starting later on this year. And basically what we've got going on here is everybody knows that the characters in The Walking Dead have found this walled-in community in Alexandria that they've been living in, and it seems like people are safe and everything's fine, and they're sort of rebuilding civilization. And this is something we've been working toward in the book since the very beginning, which is, you know, how do you reestablish civilization? And it's now gotten to a point where it's actually going to start getting kind of real. Like they're going to find other communities and start interacting with them, and yeah, it's going to be a really cool evolution for the book. Things are going to be changing up quite a bit, and it's all going to be crazy, new, and exciting. So be on the lookout for that.
What do you do as in part of your creative design to kind of prevent, I guess, genre fatigue? Like just keep it new and fresh.
Well, I try to make it good. I mean, that's an important thing. I also don't. I don't know. I don't immerse myself in that world very much. So like I'll go see the cool new zombie movie, but it's not like I'm reading every single thing about zombies that's coming out. I try not to. I actively avoid Max Brooks' work just because I don't want to be inspired by it, because I hear it's really amazing. And so, you know, I hope he doesn't take that personally. I think he's a great guy. I love his dad. But that's offensive. People don't like to hear that. But anyway, you know, also The Walking Dead is only marginally a zombie story. Like it's really just about the characters. So as long as people are interested in other people hurting people, it'll be fine. So that's what I try to do.
Thank you.
Cool.
Hello. Hi. Kirkman. Love all your stuff. I kind of had a question. Obviously, the mortality.
This is not the place for kind of having a question.
I've got a question, okay?
All right.
All right. Well, this pressure. All right. So the mortality of your characters is obviously something that's really alluring and that brings a lot of fans into it. I know I've introduced a lot of people into Invincible and Walking Dead because people die and the deaths of characters have actual weight as opposed to, and 10 issues later they come back.
Sure.
So I wanted to ask, how do you come about making the decision that someone should die? Does it ever happen that you write yourself into a corner and know, great, so now I have to kill somebody because the situation's impossible? Does it come very organically, or is it, there's been 20 issues without somebody dying, I have to kill somebody?
I try not to do that because that's lame. Like, oh, it's time for someone to go. But I will say that like I try not to think about it. Like that's really the main thing. Like if you consider it too much and you mull it over, you're always going to talk yourself out of it because as a writer, I'm not going to do the like "kill your darlings" quote because that's writing class BS. But I mean, it's really true and it's a great thing to say and I shouldn't crap on it. But you know, you get invested in these characters like the readers hopefully do. And if you're the one sitting there going, oh, well, I really like this guy, I can't kill him, your stories just start to suck. So when I get to a point where the story is such that it would be interesting if a character dies, like a specific character in that story, I just kind of do it, you know, like, and there's a lot of times where Tyrese, especially, spoiler alert, within The Walking Dead, like I like that guy a lot. Like I had fun writing him and I had other stories for him, you know, like that's another thing that's important. Like I don't want to kill people when I run out of stories for them because then you're kind of like, using up their value completely and then killing them when it's convenient. And I think it's better to, you know, leave some things hanging and also just kind of shake up the writing too when you're doing it. And so I just go, okay, well, this is really cool. Like he needs to die. And this is going to be a really shocking thing, and it's going to make the governor that much more evil. And I guess he's going to have to die. So I just do it. All right. Sorry about rambling.
Hello. Given that the Walking Dead comic is so intensely violent and disturbing, the governor gave me nightmares. How did AMC get interested in wanting to put that sort of thing on TV?
Well, I mean, look, a large part of that is Frank Darabont being involved. I don't know if I just come in with some comics and been like, so what's up? Let's do a TV show. I haven't, you know, done that. And, you know, and Gail Ann Hurd, whatever. It sounds awful. I like Gail. But, you know, there was a big team that put that together. But you also have to give AMC an enormous amount of credit. Because I know a lot of other networks turned it down who now regret it, which is awesome. But and they turned it down like rightfully so. Like that was not anything that was on TV at the time. It was a huge risk to take. And to be honest, as the creator, like doing the comic book series, I never thought anyone would ever turn it into a television show. Just because, you know, I have a television, I turn it on every now and then, don't see that kind of stuff. So, you know, I got to hand it to AMC. Like, they just really stepped up and they saw the value of it and they thought they had something cool and they kind of took a huge risk and it paid off.
Thanks.
Robert Kirkman, you're a burly man with a beautiful beard. But my question is, where's all the merch? Why haven't you sold out yet? Where are the Walking Dead tampons or the Invincible loofah?
Can you sit down?
Well, I don't know. I try to live my life by a few rules, like don't kill people. That's a good one. Don't steal. I don't know. But like one of them is like don't get greedy and don't be an asshole. You know, like those are like my main things, and it keeps me from doing a lot of stuff. Like I got contacted by a company that wanted to do Walking Dead perfume. Now granted, it's not Walking Dead tampons, but still it's for girls, and I hate girls, so like whatever. Just kidding. I was like, no, that's not. It wasn't good for the brand. Like I just thought it was kind of dumb, you know. Like, I was like, yeah, I don't like that. So I just said no. Like there's no amount of money that would get me to do Walking Dead perfume, just because, like. I really only care about groceries. Like I don't need like a solid gold boat sitting in my yard or something like that. Like as long as the kids are fed and rain isn't touching us in any way, like I'm perfectly fine with just doing what I'm doing. So I don't have to do tampons. So,
Well, I curtsy to you, good sir.
Oh, thank you. By the way, if you would like to pick up the animal cracker zombies that we're doing at the booth, we've got that. We're doing that. I have sold out a little bit, let's be honest.
Hey, Robert, I'm just wondering, how did you get your start? Like, where did you, like, talk to somebody, like, get known or whatever? I mean, and how did you, I guess, like, end up, you know, talking to people like us and having us ask questions?
I'm immensely talented, and so... I'm kind of stupid. So like I do things I want to do with little regard for how they're going to affect me, and that has benefited me in a lot of ways. It's the earlier steps that are very important. I'll try to make this as brief as possible, but basically like I was really lucky in the fact that I met Tony Moore in 7th grade, and so when I did decide that I wanted to do comics, I wasn't a writer out there going, would you like to draw my script? Would you like to draw my script? I know you don't know me and don't know anything about me, and I know that most people don't like pay the artist when this happens and they try to screw you out of money and it ends up being a bad deal, but would you like to draw a comic with me? Like I actually had a guy I knew who did a comic book with me, and we were able to actually produce a comic. And so that's the advice I always give you, like just find a way to produce a comic, like beg, borrow, steal, like do whatever you have to do, short of, you know, beg, borrowing, and stealing, to get a product made. And once you make a product, then it's basically, are you any good or are you crappy? And then, but you have to have that product first before you can learn that. So that's kind of the difficult part. And if you get that product and you're actually pretty good, like, I think that if you keep at it, people will eventually find you. Like Battle Pope led to Super Patriot, which led to Invincible and Walking Dead, which led to me working at Marvel, which led to me telling Marvel to stick it, which led to me founding Skybound, which led to me having a TV show, which led to me talking to you guys.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
Kirkman, I was going to say, I read about a Walking Dead video game. Do you have any details about that?
I don't know anything about this. What was this? No. I know. Yeah, we're doing a video game with Telltale Games that's going to be coming out in October, I believe. It's much more story-orientated than action-orientated, which I think is really cool. And it's going to be releasing it in chapters starting in October. And it should be on Xbox and PlayStation.
Also,
That's the original Xbox and the first PlayStation.
what is your favorite zombie movie?
What was that?
What's your favorite zombie movie?
Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead. I do have to say though that Shaun of the Dead gives it a run for its money. Like I think that's an amazing. Like it's hilarious, but there's also like just hugely dramatic, like heartbreaking scenes in that. And it's just I can't give those guys enough props. But Day of the Dead is just like the classic for me. I think that the zombies in Dawn of the Dead suck, as great a movie as that is. And Night of the Living Dead is probably like the most well-made, just because I think it's the most well-written and the story is great. But, you know, when you got those zombies on the autopsy table, like rolling over and stuff pouring out of them, and the bunker and the hands coming out of the concrete walls, and the opening scene is just like one of the best things ever put on film. Like, Day of the Dead is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Cool.
Alright, so my original question was asked already, so I was wondering what would happen if you met any one of your characters? It's just a random curiosity question.
If I met any one of my characters,
Yeah.
it's kind of happened. It's really bizarre. Like just being on the Walking Dead set and seeing, you know, characters like that. I mean, I could go specific. Like if I met the governor, he would kill me. If I met, you know, if I met Conquest from Invincible, he'd probably kill me. I don't know. I mean, you know, I'd be like, wow, you're a comic book character. What are you doing here? It's kind of weird, right? What would they look like? Would it be like a Roger Rabbit thing? Would they all of a sudden be flesh and blood? Like, would they look like an actor? Like, how would that work? So, I don't know.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, Rob. I got
What's
two
up?
questions. One for the board, or the new board, or the old board, or the image board, whatever.
Everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Come on.
The first question is, Monster Girl and Robot. Are they gonna get a mini? Because they're the most interesting characters from the original crew.
I took them off the table for a while because anyone who's familiar with Invincible, they kind of went into the Flaxen dimension in Invincible 71, and part of the Guarding the Globe miniseries is about how they're gone. You know, like they go in the beginning of that miniseries, and if the last issue ever comes out, the last issue's coming out very soon, you will see what happened to them. And there's an issue of Invincible that plays off of that will probably come out before the last issue of Guardian the Globe, so it'll probably spoil that a little bit, so look out, I guess. But all I can really say is, spoiler alert, they're coming back and soon, and they're some of my favorite characters, and we're going to be doing a lot with them. They come back from the Flaxen dimension much different than we last saw them, and that's going to be really interesting.
Cool. And this is my question. Forget the boards.
What is this? You're cheating.
No.
It's okay. I'm kidding.
I just wanted to know. I read that you didn't really get like a college, go college writing classes or any of that college stuff. And now that you're in, a writer's board, and these guys pay thousands of dollars for that education, and you come in, you go, hey, check this out, listen to me, and they're like, hey, dude.
But no, I'm an idiot. I mean, I come in and they're like, wow, you really didn't go to college. Like, it's not like they're sitting there going, oh my gosh, she's a genius. They're probably sitting there thinking, that's his vocabulary? Like, he just said the same word like 7 times. I don't understand, like, what's going on. No, I feel hugely inadequate around people. I'm not saying, like, it's cool to not go to college. Oh, no, it's horrible. Like, I would never say that. I think it's dumb to go to college. I wouldn't do it. But no, my wife and I have this argument all the time because we have kids now, and she's like, you can't tell them not to go to college. And it's like, if they don't know what they're doing and they're going to go to college, you go to college. I'm going to tell them not to. Like, you'd be better off working at a 7-Eleven for 4 years than just like racking up debt and getting degrees that don't matter. Anybody got a degree that doesn't matter out here? Anybody? There you go. Look at that. What happened? So if you were my children, you'd be much better off right now. So what's up?
All I was going to ask was, since you do so many books, have you learned?
You get
from them?
3.
Oh, no, that was, you cut me off before I was gonna ask. Did you learn anything from these educated people on how to write a little bit?
Oh, I haven't learned anything from them. They're all hacks. They're absolutely not all hacks, and I'm in awe of them actually in the writers' room. So it's been really great working with them, and I will say, I'm constantly embarrassed because we're doing these plots and we're working out the show, and they'll go, "Oh, we could do this," and I'm like, "Well, that? Like, what the hell was I doing? Like, why did I think of doing that? Like, what the hell? Like, what? You know, there's all kinds of stuff that I missed going in the line, and that's why I'm happy with the changes in the series. There's going to be things coming up in the second season where you guys are going to go, okay, that is not from the comic book, but that is pretty awesome. And that's the stuff that we're coming up with in the writers' room. It's really kind of great.
Will Alan the Alien ever get his own spinoff?
Well, I probably, maybe, I don't know, who knows? Probably not. There are characters like Alan the Alien that I think that their story is so important and tied into the Invincible series. Like, I guess it's the opposite of like conventional thinking. Like, people are like, oh, this character is so important that, he should get his own spin-off series. But my thing is, he's so important, I don't want to pull him out of the regular Invincible series and tell different stories that are outside of that series. I'd rather just keep them all in one book. And so, no. Why'd you sit down in the middle of my answer? That was really jarring. I like to talk, answer your question. You're sitting down.
Before I ask my question, do you remember when you signed that book for that dude earlier?
Yeah.
That wasn't fair, man.
I have a signing later today, and I'm also doing a signing on Sunday that's not like ticketed. I'm just sitting down at a certain time. I'm going to go to the end of the con. What time is that? 4? 2? Yeah, I'm at the booth on Sunday from 2 to the end of the show, so I'm just going to be sitting there the whole time.
All right.
So don't come up to me after this. It's just.
There was a lot of us that didn't get into the Walking Dead panel yesterday, and just in case you didn't know, it's just the lines were outrageous. And
I heard, yeah.
It was, it's for you, it's for the Walking Dead. People love that thing. Was there anything that came out of the panel that we missed? Anything like, did you sign up for year 3 or 4 yet? Was there any interesting anecdotes that we didn't hear?
Well, first of all, I'll say I feel really horrible about that, just because, I heard there was something like 8,000 people turned away, and that number gets bigger every day when people keep telling it. And so I was talking to Gail, and she was like, "Did you hear 40,000 people?" That's getting bigger by the day. But so there'll be a press release. It's like 4 million people turned away the panel. But that's awful. Like, I don't even know what to do. Like, you wait in line for like 6-7 hours, and then you're like, oh, 4. I'm already exaggerating. Wait in line for 2 hours, and then you get cut off, and that's ridiculous. So I don't know. I'm going to talk to them to see if there's anything we could do to make it better next year. But to answer your question, we showed a 4.5-minute trailer for the second season. That's totally rad. And you can go down to the AMC booth, which is not booth 2729. That is my booth, where you can buy the infant hardcover and some Walking Dead trades, and some T-shirts. We got some cool like lip balm and there's like some bracelets and stuff. We got like a guy in a super dinosaur costume that comes out every now and then, and I'm totally not a sellout. But that's 2729. The AMC booth is another booth. That's not 2729. I don't know the number of the AMC booth. But they're playing that 4.5-minute trailer on a loop. So you can just walk down there and stand at their booth and watch the entire thing. And they also put it online. So you can do that. And then the only thing we really announced was that the date of the premiere is not going to be Halloween. It's going to be October 16th. And so instead of being like at the end of their Fear festival of like horror movies, we're going to kind of kick it off and then be showing a few episodes during it. So we're kind of coming at you earlier. Not as early as you guys would like, I know, I'm very sorry, but October 16th. So that was the main announcement. And then Stephen Yun told a story about being on set and how there's ticks everywhere, and there was a tick on his penis. So you missed that.
Hi. Well, while I was
that's a clinical term. I know it sounds dirty, but sorry. Go ahead.
While I was looking at the cover art for the upcoming issue of Larger World, I noticed that there are like those pillars of smoke up there.
Yeah, I don't know what those are. I didn't ask for those.
Oh.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Has that got something to do with the reason why that community is still staying? Free cremation.
Wait, what was that? I didn't get that.
Yeah, free cremations.
Oh, free cremations?
Yeah, public. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, you know, well, I mean, they're burning bodies and stuff. I mean, I don't know. You know, that's supposed to be like signs of life out in the distance is basically what that is. But it could just as well be cremations. You know what? We're gonna put a big crematorium. Is that what those things are called? It's gonna be the one on the far left. Cool, man. Thanks a lot.
Hey, you mentioned how you've reached a point in comics when you can say, oh, I want to do a comic about a dinosaur who's a robot and make it. And so you can do anything you actually want without any barriers. And thinking about it, I think...
Within reason. I mean, I couldn't do like a solid gold brick of comics. But, you know, there are limitations.
Well, yeah, but you can write whatever you want. And thinking about it, I think there are like no other people who can manage that. So how does it feel?
It's pretty good. I honestly believe there are a lot of people that could do that, and they're just not, because I think they're scared. You know, I don't want to sound like I'm calling anybody out, but you know, I feel like there are a lot of creators that are just kind of timid, and I completely understand why they're timid, because I have kids and a mortgage and health insurance, all that kind of stuff, and I know that there's a certain level of stability. And like, I can do whatever I want now, but you know, like, I'm not like 100% sure that I will have The Walking Dead and other things being as successful as they are in 10 years. So there is a certain element of, you know, insecurity, but you just kind of have to believe in yourself. If I could sound lame, like more lame than I've ever sounded this entire time. But I think there's a lot of creators out there that could just be doing whatever they want to do and having the best time of their life. And I have to say, like, I'm having more fun working in comics than I've ever had. Like, I sit down at my typewriter next to my fax machine every morning going, oh, you know, this is, you know, I can't wait to write this page, and I can't wait to write that page, and, you know, it's the best living ever.
Well, thanks for that, and please never be afraid of it.
Oh, thanks. All right, I guess we're done. So thanks a lot. I guess is it really time? One more question, real quick, just to mess with the people in the room. Huh? It's a race to the mic. Who's gonna get it? Oh! All right, real quick. We got like 1 minute.
Okay, a couple questions about the TV series because I really haven't read the comic books, but
they're really gonna like kick me out.
Okay. Are there going to be more episodes in the next season than over?
Yeah, we're doing 13 episodes next season instead of 6.
And are you going to explain how the zombie apocalypse came about?
Nah, that's boring.
I don't really know.
Get in there, orange shirt.
Right.
I think it's more interesting to find out where the characters go next than it is to, you know, find out where they've been and what happened. So, okay.
Thank you. You do like 10,000 comics. How do you keep it all straight in your head to keep all the ongoing comics you have going on all at the same time and not like end up with zombies and Invincible and all that?
I keep a lot of notes, so that helps. Not as many as I should. I think I forget more ideas than I actually end up writing. But I also keep they're completely separate. If I were to put a zombie in Super Dinosaur, I'd notice. So, you know, it's like there's nothing similar about the books that I do, so it's easy to just, you know, kind of sit down and go, okay, I'm writing this book, I'm writing that book, and it's all pretty easy to keep, you know, different from each other. So yeah.
You rock.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming, everybody.